If you thought this was bad, wait until you see what this thing gets up to. I loaded into this game with optimism, 1 no skin against 3, but this means nothing when you see someone on your team with this colored border. Knowing needy Henry was going to run it down, my Annie tried to comfort our out of place support by burning her flash at level 1, at least she got a ward on Lee Sin's Raptors. I started my own Raptors, setting up a trio of boxes that will give me level 2 as I walk into the abyss. I enter Lee Sin's red buff brush and see Lee Sin kiting towards me, so I box immediately, before chunking him out of his jungle. While I take his red buff, look where I ping, on my way to my own red buff. I expect Lee Sin to be seeking vengeance, so I Q recall towards mid lane to put my Q on a quicker cooldown and run behind mid lane. I get to my red buff and see Lee Sin out of the corner of my eye.
Why are you running? Why?
Because no one steals a Shaco's red buff and lives to tell the tale, I Q over the corner of the terrain to insta-backstab the blind monk, and this game is over. Or is it? Because I had faith in Faker and Carrier, I invaded 0-1's blue buff. Upon taking blue, I re-entered Lee Sin's jungle and saw Gromp missing, but look at the minimap. Gromp's icon is still up. This means Lee Sin is doing Gromp in fog, so I positioned a Q over and deal a quick bit of damage. Unfortunately, I could not anticipate Henry doing this.
Do you honestly think you're f***ing funny?
My Ashe running into a 1v2.
Disgusting creature.
And the no-flash Annie joining the party in such a manner.
Exodia! Obliterate!
If any of my teammates are watching, this might help you. An interactive quizzing platform designed to teach and then test you so you actually learn how to play the game. Link in my bio. I find quick reprieve on the top side of the map. I take the crab, and as I do blue buff, an enemy hits their Scryer Orb at their Raptors. This has to be Lee Sin. Now I know the win trading monk will retake his Raptors and then Krugs. So after blue and then Gromp, I run through top lane anticipating this very situation, the Lee Sin ganking my pushed up Victor. I should wait until Lee Sin runs into my box, but I'm still thinking of Henry in the bot lane. Despite seeing his jungler die, Sion stays on 1 HP and gives me a free kill. The enemy team has their own Henry, it seems. I recall to try to defend my Raptors, but Lee Sin, with the help of his 2 mid laners, takes them. I have no choice but to farm Krugs, and then play for the top crab after wolves. The enemy team should know I am on this top crab, but enemy Henry knows what I've already been through. He all-ins the Victor as I swoop in for another free kill. I should stay and take a tower plate and summon the next wave, because along with Gromp, I could run out of base with a 7-minute Cyclo Sword. But this would engender complacency. Imagine this thing and Henry seeing their Shaco jungle with such an item so early, they would run it down even harder knowing I will carry them. When I finish my red buff, look at Grubs. 15 seconds before they spawn, so I have to skip my Krugs and do Raptors, before Annie's duo rocks up. I E quickly, knowing I will have another one up at the end of this fight, and auto-attack an R, giving my clone Permahaler Blades. We killed the Yasuo, but this felt underwhelming after watching Annie do this. When one idiot dies, a second usually follows suit. Henry was 0-2 with a tear, but you can't have a rainbow without the rain. Following the recent monsoon, Annie kills the Lee Sin. Is she win trading? Is she not? I had not gathered enough evidence, so continued digging. I finished Grubs, cleared my top side, and ran out of base with Cyclo Sword and Greaves, just in time to watch my Ashe die, but at least Henry got on the board.
Discombobulate.
I could sense Lee Sin nearby, so left Krugs, and there he was, cheekily invading my Raptors. Unfortunately, Annie was telling Lee Sin in their Discord to go Diver, and Diver he did. Despite trying my best, I was on the receiving end of 2 question mark pings from a mid laner down 30 plus CS. Jungle diff. I farmed Krugs and entered the river. Dragon was respawning, as was the Scuttle Crab. After clearing the enemy's vision, a fight broke out bot lane.
March!
I picked off the misfortune with devastating precision. And with Henry by my side, we eventually killed Leona, despite Henry throwing his E out to try to kill steal. After stabilizing my respiratory system, I knew Lee Sin would be taking my top camp, so I have to stay bot and invest. As Henry and I do Dragon, we are disturbed by the proceedings in the mid lane. The enemy mid laner killed the other enemy mid laner that led to an outrage of pings in the chat. The fact this person genuinely believes this game is jungle diff is why junglers love jungling. Because of this calamity, I have to give up my red buff and Raptors, and I'm struggling to find something to do until this happens. Because my top laner is no longer top lane, there is golden experience our team is missing out on, so I feast on the offerings of this vacant lane. We get a couple of minion waves and a tower plate before Yasuo responds, telling me to check myself. Check myself I do, as I retreat to my Gromp and wait for the enemies to invade my blue buff. I bait Lee Sin to dive in knowing he can never kill me, and then saw something I wish I could unsee.
That's quite big.
If my investigation into Annie's win trading needed any more evidence, that was the icing on the cake. I also find it slightly disturbing that every teammate seemed oblivious to what just happened. I recovered quickly to grab a kill on the Yasuo, and despite being godlike, I felt anything but. I finished Raptors and wanted to attain Rift Herald, but the enemy jungler was finally jungling, so I pivoted back down to the bot crab, subsequently taking Lee Sin's blue buff. My Victor was strong, so I wait for Yasuo to do something stupid, but my Annie beat him to it, standing still on vision, so he trades 1 for 1. This then led to my first mistake of the game. Knowing Lee Sin could have been running to his fed Yasuo, I reacted too late to Lee Sin being in this brush, and I perish. I miss out on Lee Sin's Gromp, the bot tower. This really slows me down. I buy a Serpent's Fang because the enemy team is nothing but shields, and my deaths seem to ripple across the map. Ashe and Henry lost a 2v2 in the mid lane, and as I run out of base I see this. The enemy acquire our tier 2 bot tower and the Infernal Dragon. After some farming, my mid laner tried one-shotting the Mertread's Lee Sin with a 100 farm at 19 minutes but failed. Because top side of the map was GG, I go where the enemies are not, the mid lane. I shove the wave, forcing Yasuo to respond. After I hit the Scryer Orb, look at Yasuo in the mid lane. He will likely move towards our low HP tier 2 mid tower, so I Q over. If I pause it when I am right in front of Yasuo, look at my Q's stealth duration. It's about to run out, so I cannot press R here. I would lose out on my Q's backstab damage. That's why I run behind Yasuo, but because of all the recent attack speed changes to Halo Blades, I stall my second auto attack. I would have killed Yasuo quicker and saved HP. I could blame Henry for not preemptively ulting the Misfortune, but my expectations were lower than Teemo's Limbo set. During my grey screen, this infamous rectangular box appeared. Wondering who could have summoned such a graphic, I run out of base expecting Annie to die in whichever part of the map she is, and she does. So I hover around mid lane to watch Henry die for the enemy jungler. A worthy sacrifice, Henry. This inspired me, as I wait for Misfortune to show on the next wave, but look at me stall my second auto attack again. It doesn't matter, however, as I pick up a much-needed double kill. Baron is the next play, but I am half HP and my clone will die, and our main carry is nowhere near it. I recall and secure the top crab before realizing the enemy team is hovering around bot side of the map with Baron up. We pounce and take the worm, as my mid laner takes the enemy Misfortune with her. Was this Annie's hero arc? I have to be careful without R, so I patiently wait for the perfect opportunity to queue in. Underwhelmingly, this was on the Leona, but a kill is a kill. After recalling, the Victor, who had been playing well, unleashed with some local dialect. Not once, but twice. I run out towards my Annie only to spot Lee Sin and my Krugs, but Henry Eagz before I backstab, so Lee Sin turns around. Annie surprisingly dies, but at least we killed Leona. As I farm Raptors, it seems that even Riot can feel my pain. What happens next is what I feared about Henry all along. Despite pinging Henry to chill, Henry did not chill. A play so bad that even Annie was question marking it. Without my ultimate, I am as good as dead, as my nervous system made me ping Henry. Shortly after, despite an ultimate for the ages from Henry, the Ashe with no cleanse and Henry's Mikhail's on cooldown ran into a Leona combo and just died. Good effort. Upon my revival, I sought vengeance. Annie and Lee Sin were back at it in the top lane, and I was the +1. We killed this 1% KP jungler as I then ventured towards the mid lane. I finally landed my second Halo Blades attack, and look at the difference. Misfortune dies to my Ignite and Collector, as I start wondering if we can actually win this game. We back off the enemy mid tower for another fight to ensue. Without R, I have to be careful, and play this well, but I'm so scared of dying and losing the game, I forget to E the Yasuo. Not to worry. As I kill the Yasuo and Gromp, my team cleans up the rest of the fight. Knowing Victor has TP, I place a box and bide my time for the perfect opportunity to queue in, and I find it. I take down the Misfortune and we secure the dragon. I recall for my Infinity Edge, and as long as no one trolls, we win this game. The enemy team tried to rush Baron, and did, but we won the fight. I somehow escaped as we rushed to the mid lane. Unable to end, we had to settle for the inhib, as I eventually recalled for Lord Dominic's regards. Knowing I will send my regards to Annie and her family after this game, the final fight was at the next Chemtech Dragon. I played the outskirts of the fight, flanking the Misfortune and proccing a Guardian Angel. I R after 2 auto attacks and my clone has perma hob, and surely this is it. Misfortune cleanses and flashes out of my box as the Scion turns his focus towards me. My team will now definitely win on the eastern front with so many enemies heading west. I tried to cheekily queue back towards Misfortune, but Scion's Sunfire Cape shimmers me in stealth, but we were doing okay. Despite Annie dying for basically nothing, I E the Misfortune and Q backstab once over the wall. Unluckily for me, Ashe and Henry were not as committed to the cause as Shaco, and I just die. This death was agonizing, because I knew what would happen next. Defeat. Instead of finding a safe spot to recall away from the out-of-base Lee Sin, Ashe and Henry recalled on Likely Vision, got interrupted as the Scion on Yasuo ended the game. Victor wanted to fist bump, but I wanted to fist bump off the rift. I added the Annie who accepted my friend request, only to delete me after sending these 2 messages. What a bug. What kind of vermin keeps trying to send friend requests? Like the video, follow the page, dombishi.com.